Hey, everybody. It's an exciting day today. Today represents a lot of great things on the Wall to Wall Country Show, including the fact that we're playing a few extra patriotic tunes for you, remembering what today is all about, the 4th of July. But that doesn't mean that the show doesn't go on. It means that the show goes on anyway. And it's going to go on here on the Wall to Wall Country Show, and can't let you down without a guest. Nope, that can't happen. So we wrangled in a great artist to join us here on this Wednesday edition, the 4th of July edition of the Wall to Wall Country Show. Lots of good stuff going on with this guy, and we're going to hear all about it, including some brand new music he has out there. Please make welcome somebody who is such a performer, and he's got some great music. Got an album out there. Excited to hear about that. Please make welcome to the show, Mr. Josh Vincent. Hey, Josh, how are you?
Doing good. Thank y'all for having me.
Oh, my gosh. We're so excited.
4th of July is one of my favorite holidays.
I know. And you know what? I have to say, reflecting on just kind of diving into your bio a little bit, it's a great day to celebrate, but people have to be smart about it, and they have to be careful. I'm sure your experience as a police officer, you probably have some interesting stories about 4th of July yourself, I'm sure.
Oh, sure. We don't have time for that.
No, that's another show.
Right?
That's a whole nother show.
Lots of stories.
I'm sure you do, which means you probably have a lot of great experiences that kind of you can draw on. But before we get into all of that great music and stuff, Josh, I've already kind of spilled the beans a little bit about your history, but I am very curious how, as a 20-year veteran in the police force, how you ended up switching gears to become a country music artist. So can you give us a kind of a story and tell us a little bit about how that transition all happened for you?
Sure. It's difficult to sum it all up into one word. Difficult would be the word that I would choose.
You can use a couple of words. It's okay. You can use a couple.
In fact, the album that I do have coming out should be later on this month. Is called Lost in Transformation for that reason, because it is a transformation. And coming from a world where it's so structured and so hard to deal with some of the things that you have to deal with versus trying to be people-friendly and entertaining and all that kind of stuff, it's difficult. It's really hard to switch into that mode, but so far I've been able to make it, so just keep on keeping on and try to make the transformation complete,
But what was it? Yeah, but what was it that made you decide to do that transformation? Was there a special event in your life? Was it something you've been thinking about? Because some people are like, oh, I known I wanted to be a recording artist since I was 2, and then other people kind of have that realization a little later in life. How did it happen for you?
Right. Well, I've known, since an early age that I wanted to do that, but it was always a dream that I thought would never be obtainable, something that I couldn't ever achieve, and just kind of fell into place. I retired, and I had already lost my last living grandmother, and then I lost my grandfather and my mother and my father all within 1 year.
Oh, my gosh. I'm sorry for your loss.
Oh, thank you. But, that was a huge inspiration as far as writing songs. And that's what I started out doing. I always played the guitar and sang other people's songs, and always had the itch to write, but never really tried to do it. And that kind of pushed me over the edge as far as writing. And I decided, hey, I think I can do this. And here we are.
Yeah. Well, and but the first couple of steps, was it scary? I mean, was it something where you... as a police officer, by the way, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
How was that? How was it? You walked in one day and say, "Hey guys, I'm quitting. I'm done. I'm gonna go sing country music." I mean, they all kind of had to look at you like, "Yeah, whatever. Just get in the car." Right. How did that happen?
No, that wasn't even the plan. Whenever I retired, I figured I'd just retire and get a little less stressful job and work at Walmart or something for the rest of my life. But I've tried to find a job for a long time, and nothing really kind of fit. And, of course, the guitar's sitting in the corner calling my name and, telling me to get a pen and a pad and get over here and play this thing and write something out. And I resisted it for a while. And I think when my dad passed away, he was the last one to pass away. And a friend of mine said, "Hey, I'd like for you to come out to my show." They were playing a little barbecue place in Carrollton, Texas, which is just north of Dallas. And she said, "I'd like for you to come out and just do a couple songs." And I said, "Well, I've written a couple." And she said, "Well, I'd like for you to do them." So I did, and everybody was real receptive. And I just thought, well, maybe I can do something with this. So I put a lot of time and energy into it, and I'm glad that everybody's enjoying what they're hearing, because that's the main thing I do it for, is for for other people,
right,
to enjoy. And
that's awesome.
And of course, it's an outlet too. The writing part of it is,
yeah.
and the singing is too. I mean, it's all an outlet, all stress relief.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and everybody has to have something, and I think music,
right. Yeah.
And music is such a healer. And it's a huge avenue. I mean, it can do so many different things. It can help heal. It can help pass time. It can help you express things that you may not be able to say out loud. I mean, the list goes on and on and on about music.
Right.
Now, tell us about some of your music. You have an album that you mentioned is coming out later in the month of July. Is this a hard copy kind of CD? Is this electronic? Tell us a little bit about this. This is your first CD that you're putting out there.
This is my first professionally recorded CD. It's going to be a 6-song EP. I did put out a demo album that has some of the songs in raw form out there on iTunes and Google Play and all that stuff, Spotify.
Okay.
But this one, I started out. I wrote a song. I was a child abuse investigator for about 10 to 12 years. I can't remember exactly how long. And during that course of time, that was really a rough spot in my life, working with those kids that had been abused and in various forms, and seeing some of the stuff that I saw. And so anyway, I wrote this song, and it's called "When the Baby Cries." Mm-hmm. And my intention was to put that out for charity for child abuse. Of course, you don't realize that if you don't have a following or any clout, that you can't just put something out there and raise a bunch of money, because that's not the way it works. Mm-hmm. So I did that on a collaboration with 5 other songs on an album, and hopefully at some point after the EP comes out and the singles have been out for a while, and we get a little attention, that we'll look at maybe trying to do that again. For that reason, because that's the main reason I even recorded this album to begin with. I didn't really mean to do that, but it just kind of fell into place, and I'm glad it did, because I really enjoyed doing it, and I'm glad it's getting out there and people are liking it. And worked with Bart Rose at Fort Worth Sound on the album, and he's an incredible producer, award-winning producer, several awards down here for like Fort Worth Weekly and that kind of stuff. So. And the Texas Regional Radio. He's been Producer of the Year a couple of times there, too. So it was just an honor to get to work with him and look on the schedule and see some of the names that he had coming in recording before and after me. And it was just really surreal for me for a while, but it's starting to get more real every day.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, When a Baby Cries, is that on the 6-song EP you're putting out in July, or is this something that's different that you're going to re-release later?
It will be on the EP.
Okay.
So everybody can get a little taste of it there, and hopefully eventually we'll look at, releasing it as maybe not as a single, but as like some kind of bonus single or special single, and just doing all the proceeds for child abuse awareness and
now, is there
education, because that's what I'd like to do.
Is there a special website or organization that, when you do release this, people can, look at it and understand that that's where the proceeds for the song is going to go, or are you still narrowing that down to a specific organization?
Yeah, at some point there will be, but there's not at this point in time. Okay. There's a couple of charities that I've looked at, one being the Shaken Baby Alliance here out of Fort Worth in Texas. And, if it gets big enough, then we'll look at maybe a nationwide charity as well. But that's the whole goal anyway, is just to raise money, because they put on a lot of educational programs and stuff to educate parents about, especially young parents, because a lot of young parents don't understand how fragile children are sometimes. And, I think that those educational programs are important and should be, funded as well as possible.
Awesome. All right.
To raise awareness.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And congratulations on that. And I think what you need to do is you need to call me back and get you back on the show when that comes to fruition, because we can help promote that for you and hopefully get a few more dollars. So keep that in mind for the future for that particular song, or when you put that out specifically for that fundraising event. That'd be awesome. We'd love to know about it here at Penn's Peak Radio.
You bet.
Now, this is 6-song EP. Are all the songs yours? Are you penned all of them? Have you co-penned them with people? Tell us a little bit about some of the other songs on this album, Lost in Transformation.
Yeah, no, they're all mine. They're all straight from the dome there. But
okay.
I do have some collaborational stuff in the works for some later albums and doing some stuff. But all of these songs that are on this album are ones that I've written, and that's me on there, singing them. So
well, that's awesome.
They're 100% pure.
Well, let's talk about some of those songs then, and where some influences come from. One of the ones you wanted to talk a little bit about, and I want to play for our listening audience, is Always Be Me. So tell us a little bit about the song, Josh, Always Be Me.
Well, that one was written because there again, during my transformation, there's a lot of things that happen, and life in general throws curveballs at you constantly. I mean, it's ever-changing, and we live a fast-paced life these days, and that song just kind of says, hey, I know we've had these beliefs our whole life, and things are changing, and no matter what changes, you can still change your opinion, you can still, change the way you think about things, but I'll always be me in the core. You know what I mean? That doesn't change who I am just because my opinions change or my beliefs change.
Awesome.
So that's where that song comes from.
And so now I always like to find this out too. You say you've been kind of playing around with writing songs the majority of your life. This is a song that's fairly new, that kind of comes off the experiences of some of those changes that you've had in your life recently.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, you bet.
Okay.
And some of it stems back from when I was a police officer, but the majority of it was later on, afterwards, because you get so complacent in life sometimes. You don't really realize what's going on around you until, something happens and you're like, oh, wow, I didn't even realize that, but, I'm cool with it. Let's just roll with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think it's a good message, to say out there, the core of people and, the backbone, say, of someone is always going to be there, but you can agree to disagree, you can agree, you can whatever, influences life. I mean, if you're not growing and changing in life itself, you've become stagnant. And that's not a good thing. You got to take the good with the bad and learn from all of that stuff. And you're always going to find that you need to come home to your home base and your backbone and continue to be who you are. You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely.
That's awesome. Well, I think if you can hang in there just a little bit, what I'd like to do is go ahead and I have to take a quick break, Josh, and come back and play that Always Be Me. And get people a little understanding of how you sound and who you are. And then we'll talk a little bit more about some of the other tunes on the EP and how people can find you and listen to your music and all that other kind of stuff. Can you hang in there for a few more minutes?
You bet. Absolutely. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, we have to take a quick break. We're going to be back more with Josh Vincent. Remember, you can find this guy on joshvincentmusic.com. We'll talk about the connectivity with the social medias and stuff. We've got a 6-song EP, Lost in Transformation. We're going to play a tune from that, Always Be Me, coming up right after this quick break, right here on Penn's Peak Radio and Wall to Wall Country and Josh Vincent. Back there, guys, you heard one of the songs from the 6-song EP, Lost in Transformation, a song called Always Be Me. Just kind of a nice reminder to stay true to yourself kind of thing. Right, Josh?
You got it.
Awesome.
You got it. Hit it right on the head.
Well, that's wonderful. And it's a great song. I like it. It's current, but it's good stuff. And I think if that's what you are producing out there, I think, you're going to go a long way. And I want to I want to talk a little bit more about, speaking of going places, I know you're doing a bunch of shows. You're trying to get out there as much as you can. If people want to find you, though, what's some of the best ways that they can track Josh Vincent down if they're interested in your music and finding out more about you and things like that?
Well, of course, there's a website that you mentioned earlier, the www.joshvincentmusic.com, that has links to my email and my other social media accounts. Mm-hmm. And then I'm on Facebook as myself, Josh Vincent, and then I have a music page that is Josh Vincent Music. You can search either one of those on Facebook, and it should pop up.
Awesome.
My Twitter, I have a Twitter. It's at jvincenttunes, and then I got the Instagram, Josh_Vincent_music. So any of those three would probably cover it.
Wow. So you're a fan of the social medias. I know some artists are, some artists aren't. Do you think that's a pathway to today's industry as far as getting music and stuff like that out there to your fans? Are you a fan of it?
I think it's necessary. Sometimes I don't have the time to devote to it that I would like to, but I think it is necessary to get that kind of stuff out there and show people what you're doing, because there are so many new artists and songwriters out there trying to get their stuff out and be heard, and it's just really hard to fight for position. And if you don't have that connection somewhere, you can't go visit these people or call them every day so they can see you on the Facebook. You know, you post a picture of you outside grilling, you know, they know you're a real human being, and you post a picture at a show, and, you know, it's a good way for them to connect and kind of get to know who you are without actually talking to you. You know?
Yeah. Now, I know that you're from Texas, and, you know, I work a lot with Dylan and a couple of other people down there. Texan country is really becoming pretty upfront and to the foremost. I think, you know, you go to Nashville and you know everybody's country in Nashville for the most part. You know, you have that. But I think Texan is really starting to pave a way for country music artists. And, I mean, there's more and more coming out of Texas. I mean, Texas is a huge state, obviously. But do you find that, you know, when you're out there doing shows, the feel for Texans is country music? Is that the case?
I would think so. I mean, everywhere that I've played and I've been to see people play or whatever, it's always real receptive. And some people don't even, you know, they don't consider themselves a country music fan, but they like what we do. And I think there's that to me kind of speaks volumes if somebody says, you know, I'm not a country fan, but I like your song.
Yeah.
You know, so that to me is saying that, hey, you know, I don't like country because of where it's gone, but I like the way it used to be. And if we can bring that back, you know, to how it used to be, then I think it'll really take off after that, because I think that's what the people are, what everybody's lacking, you know, is just that original country music sound that we lost somewhere a while back.
Yeah, and you know, I know that a lot of the country artists that I talk to from Texas, that is their base. They're not really into the poppy country. They're not into the, you know, what do you want to call it, the modern country age or whatever. A lot of them really are bringing back in a modern way, but they stick to their roots of the good old traditional country, and they make it their own. And I think a lot of the artists from Texas are doing that.
Yeah, I was telling somebody the other day that, you know, in my opinion, I think the Texas red dirt music as a whole has the good old country and a little bit of that classic rock mixed in with it, just enough to say, man, this is the perfect, you know, melt of the way things should sound, you know, as far as country music goes. And that's the way I've always felt. I was always a huge Texas red dirt country music fan, even before I started trying to play it. So, you know, that's just speaks to me because it's real. And if you listen to the lyrics, these guys are writing about stuff that they've been through and stuff that they do on a normal basis. They're not out there writing about, you know, going to the beach and watching girls in bikinis and, you know, sitting on the tailgate of their truck and stuff. I mean, there is some of that stuff in there because that's real, you know, where we come from. That's obviously, but, you know, it's just the good old country stuff about, hey, sit down, let me get my guitar and tell you a story. That's where it starts, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, and I think that's what kind of separates a lot of the Texan country music. And that's what's setting a standard, I think, with a lot of the artists that are coming out of Texas. You know, you're right. And, you know, and there's nothing wrong, you know, with the beachy sound to country or the poppy sound or whatever. I'm not, you know, I don't want to beat any of those people up, but I think country is no longer just country music. It's definitely got its subdivisions anymore. And I mean, you're talking about people also, you know, people that, you know, have stepped into the country pool when you're talking about rockers like Steven Tyler, or you're talking about Justin Timberlake, or you're talking about Cyndi Lauper. You know, all those people want to dip their toe. I always call it dipping their toe into the country pool. And then it's branched off. And I mean, I had an interview with a guy just a couple weeks ago who called his music industrial country. So.
Okay. I've never heard that one. But, okay.
You know, and but it's, you know,
kind of
he's
for the working man. Right?
Yeah, and exactly. He's from the Northeast or Northwest. You know, he's up there in the Seattle area. So, you know, it's interesting now. I see this diversity. Everybody says, oh, it's country music, but then you get all these little subdivisions. And I honestly have to say, the one division that I like is where you guys are coming from, where you're still remembering the people who really started country. I mean, who's some of your biggest influences? Who are they?
Oh man, Johnny Cash, Merle Haggard, people that people have never even heard of, probably Stephen Fromholtz, Guy Clark, all of those guys back in the day. You know, that's where it really started, and that's what connected with my soul. And that's why I try to get the music that I play to sound not just like that, because I don't want to be a copycat and I don't want to sound just like them, but I want to have that remembrance of that in there, because that's what connected with me, and that's how I want other people to connect with my songs.
Right. Well, you know,
so and just that good old-fashioned country bass, Hank Williams Jr.,
the Waylon Jennings and all those, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and that's the thing. Music always wants to take people on a journey. And one journey that I hope never, ever falls away is the journey of not only did these people put their foot in the pond, they put both feet, they built the pond. You know, they built the country pond. And that's the staple. And I hope that I hope artists like you continue to do that, where you're gonna pull on that, on those resources of that standard traditional country pool, and keep that still alive, where you can think and remember those guys, because they deserve that. You know what I mean?
You bet. Absolutely, they deserve it. And there's other guys out there just like me that are writing songs, you know, from their heart and telling stories and keeping that traditional sound to it. And you know, we just need people to say, hey, look at these guys, and tell their friends about it, and follow them on social media, go to their shows, you know, let's get it out there. That's what we need. And thank y'all, Penn Peak Radio, for doing what you do and getting us out there and letting us be heard. Well, we appreciate that.
You're quite welcome. And I love to talk to you guys like you. I know you're busy and I got to let you go, but let's talk a little bit more about two of the songs that are on the EP. We're going to say goodbye here in just a minute, but one of the other songs that I want to play after we're done here, and then this whole show gets recorded and played back on a Sunday. All my listeners know that, so we're going to hit a song there too. But another song you have out there called Two Shots. Of course, liquor comes to mind.
Right.
Is it that, or is it about a gun, or is it about neither?
Well, you know, the first line of the song says, one time I was down on Langtree playing poker and drinking beer. So, you know, it does have a little bit to do with liquor, but I kind of took an old West spin on this one and just did a kind of a fairy tale type thing. It's a fun song. The hook, I've been told, is really good because it's got a little break in there that drummers love it. Every drummer I've ever played with has loved that song because of the chorus and the hook, the way that it goes. But I had actually taken a trip down to Langtree, Texas, and a little Texas history. Judge Roy Bean, back in the day, was from Langtree, Texas, and he was known as being a hanging judge. He had a little saloon that he owned down there, and in the back of it, he had a courtroom. And so you walk through the saloon and past the bar to get into the courtroom, and once you get into the courtroom, that's where your fate, you know, is handed down from Judge Roy Bean. So and he was known for being a hanging judge. So when I went on this hunting trip, we went into town and saw this place. And actually, they still have the place and the tree out front, you know, where they used to actually give people their life sentence, I guess. And I was just inspired to write a song, you know, about those days, not necessarily about that or about him or any of that, but just about those days back then, how it was so easy to do something wrong and end up losing your life and, you know, and maybe regretting stuff that you did. So
interesting.
That's where that song, it's a fun song, you know.
All right.
I like it.
Well, I'm sure I'm looking forward to hearing it along with my my listeners. And it's a little something called Two Shots. Now, remember, guys, this is all coming off the 6-song EP, Lost in Transformation. You already heard Always Be Me. Two Shots is coming up after we say goodbye to Josh. There's still a bunch more music on there, including When a Baby Cries, which you're hoping to re-release and put out there for an organization to help awareness of child abuse. So looking forward to hearing about that.
Right.
And then at the end of the show, we're going to do one more tune. So Much Junk.
Yeah.
My mind just goes berserk on that one. So tell us a little bit about that one.
That's my current single that's out right now. It's on the Texas Regional Radio Top 100. I believe it was number 66 last week. So we're trying to get that up there. So if y'all like it, call and request it. But anyway, it's a true story, kind of, about drinking and shopping on the internet. to sum it up.
I would never know what that's like, actually, honestly. I mean, I really wouldn't. I wouldn't. No?
Right?
Maybe?
Yeah, so it's a relatable song. I think everybody can kind of relate at some point. And
it's awesome. That's really, that's cool. Well, we're going to hear that one at the end, and that's going to be a great song to close out the show. It's called So Much Junk. And I like it. I like it all. I like what you're doing, Josh. I want you to stay on that path of what you're doing because I think it's really, really good stuff, and I think you're going to go places with it. One last real quick, you know, you want to find this guy. Are you going to be doing more touring, outside of Texas? Are your travels going to hopefully start taking you beyond the borders of Texas? Have you been doing shows outside of Texas?
I have done some in Oklahoma. I'm hoping to get back to Oklahoma and Colorado and kind of head up towards that way. Maybe I had some offer about doing some stuff up in Oregon, so we'll see, if I can get up that way. And I'd love to come to Pennsylvania.
Awesome. And
do some stuff up there in the Northeast anywhere. It'd be great.
Well,
it's in the plan. Just don't have any dates yet.
Okay. Well, just so you know, if you do head up in this direction, the doors to Penn's Peak Radio are always open to my artists. You're more than welcome to come in, do a quick impromptu song or two. We'd love to see you live in the studio. But do keep us in mind when you have some new and exciting news. Videos for any of your tunes in the works? You got a wink, wink, nudge, nudge of what's in the near future for Josh Vincent you can let us know about?
I am working on a video for the latest single that's out, the So Much Junk. I think it'll be a fun one. So hopefully we're just kind of in the planning stages of it. So hopefully within the next few months we'll get that out and that'll be out there available. There's some videos on YouTube, but I think there's a cartoon video that I did of the Two Shots that you could look up. It's kind of funny. So there's a couple videos out there on YouTube, but as far as professional videos, we are working on the one for the current single, so hopefully we'll get that out pretty soon.
All right. That sounds awesome. Remember, you can find this guy at Josh Vincent, that's Vincent, music.com. That's his website. If you connect on the Contact Us, you can see all of his links down there of his social media. Check out his merchandise and his show and listen to some of his music and stuff. But check this guy out. Kind of keeping the traditional music alive in a modern sort of way, which is awesome. But Josh, I want to wish you all the best of luck. Know that the doors are open, but please do keep us in mind if you have some new development, either you get that video out there or you're putting out some music, or of course with your organization for children. Let us know about that. We'd love to have you back on the show. You've been a sweetheart. Anything else you want to throw out there to the listening audience?
Man, just keep listening and crank it up.
Awesome. Well, we're going to say goodbye to Josh. Be listening for that next song called Two Shots. And then at the end of the show, So Much Junk. Looking forward to the video on that. That is his current single that is off the 6-song EP, Lost in Transformation. Josh, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it. And looking forward to hearing...
I appreciate it.
Looking forward to hearing some new and exciting stuff coming down the pike from Texas.
Yeah.
All right. Take care, sir. Good luck. And stay in touch, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely.